is, and she is our arts and crafts extraordinaire. I love working with her. She is so patient. I'm the opposite of her. I'm very quick and she's very methodical. I just love that about her and I learn a lot about her. Also, she's going to be in the Joy Luck Club next year, which is going to be in April and May of next year. So as you know, Allison's going to take care of the moderating the questions. So there will be opportunities for that. And then at that time, you can unmute yourself. So I'm going to be back later to tell you to wrap up and let you know what CAS is coming down the pike next year, 2022. So now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Patty. Thank you, Patty. Welcome. Thank you for doing this workshop.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, everyone, for taking time in your evening to join us. As you know, origami is the Japanese art of paper folding. In this session tonight, we are going to learn how to fold a water lily, a Japanese peace crane, and a bow tie made with a dollar bill. These video tutorials are pre-recorded, so any comments and questions you have, please save them for the end of each tutorial. So let's begin with the water lily. The water lily is a symbol of peace and love, and is usually found in water ponds in the tea gardens. However, in the wild, they can also be found in the still waters of the riverbanks or ponds. They are resilient and they stand up to the most harshest conditions. They can grow in muddy and murky water. And also a water lily seed can survive a 200-year drought and still bloom. You can think of the water lily as your own lives as you face challenges. Just as the water lily, you are resilient and you can raise up from the muddy waters and take on any challenges that come your way. Many weddings use the water lily as a symbol of love and peace. Allison Chan, Tiffany Tan, Lisa Moon, and myself, we made about 30 to 40 origami water lilies for Allison's wedding. Anyways, and so let's begin the tutorial. So with the water lily, like all origami projects, you need to start with a square piece of paper, and it needs to be perfectly square with straight edges. So let's begin. We're using a pink piece of paper, and so I would flip it over, and then you want to find your center point, which is approximately here. So in order to find that center point, what I would do is I would fold this edge up to this edge here. Making sure that your corners match. Open up, rotate, and do the same. Fold this edge to this edge here. Making sure that all your corners meet and your edge meet. Okay, now you have your center fold, your center point right there. Flip your paper over. At this point, you want to fold all four corners to this corner, to this center piece right here. Okay, now the next 3 steps
entail folding your corners back to this center point right here. And you want to be able to do that 2 more times. Okay, so you want to make sure that all your creases are folded nice and tight, holding on to the middle as you crease. Now you want to continue with that same fold towards the middle. Hold on to the rest so that your paper doesn't shift. Making sure that your corners are meeting the center. Making sure that your edges are creased. So we're done with this side, and now we want to flip it over. And again, the center point right there, you want to fold your corners to that center point. And at this point, you'll notice that the paper is getting thicker. Just take your time and fold. Again, holding down the paper so there's no shifting. Making sure that your edges are nicely creased. Oops. And hopefully all your corners meet at the center. Use your fingers as a tool to crease. Use your fingernails too. So then at this point, what you want to do is you want to flip it back over to the original side. Oops, wait. This is what the back looks like. This is what this looks like. So you want to take this corner and fold down about 1/4 of the way in, making sure that this corner meets this point here. And crease well. Again, with this corner, you want to do this to all 4 corners on this side. And this portion of the fold will help you get ready for the next fold. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. What you want to do is you want to flip it over. Put one finger here take this flap here, and with this finger here, you want to push up, and you want to roll this flap around that finger. So that's your first petal there. Okay, flip it over, do the same again. Put your finger here, hold on to it tightly. Take this petal and flip it around your finger. And you want to do that to all four corners. Again, hold on, take your finger, whether it be this finger or this finger. For me, it's this finger. Hold on to it tightly. Okay, we're done with our first layer of petals. Now you want to work on your second layer. Again, with this finger here, hold on to this edge here. Take this petal and roll it over your finger. Okay, again, holding on tightly with this petal. Again, you rotate this either way, left or right. And there you have your 2 layers of petal here. You want to open your water lily up a little bit. There you go. And you have one more layer to, with this one, all you have to do is just fold it straight like that. You don't have to roll it over your fingers. And your last petal here. And there you have it. Open up your water lily. And you've got your water lily here. Okay? For this size, I used a 10 by 12 by 12 piece of paper to get this size. And if you want, you can put a battery operated tea light in there.
All right. So right now we're going to be seeing if there's any questions. So there was one question for Patty, and Patty, the question is, what type of paper did you use, and would regular bond paper work?
For the water lily and also for the peace crane, I've used the origami paper that is actually chiogami. It's a thinner piece of paper, but it's made for folding, and it gives you nice crisp edges. If you want to use bond paper such as typing paper, you can do that, but just keep in mind that the thickness of paper for the water lily is going to be harder for you to roll those petals over your finger. And but you're more than welcome to try bond paper. I've done that before, but you just have to be a little more patient, and just know that it's thicker paper, and so it will be a little bit harder to work with. So I would use the Chiogami paper, which is great for origami folding. It comes in different sizes. The most popular size is a 6 by 6 inch, which is equivalent to about 15 centimeters. I've seen 10 by 10. Of course, I use a 12 by 12. They're harder to find. So if you want like a very small water lily, you can do the 6 by 6. Kimmy?
Like with the petal inversion, I don't know if I did it right. Can you recap how to do that, or to raise the petals up after all the folds?
You can probably, the video of tonight's session will be available on the CAD's website.
Okay.
And so you can go back to that later on. It'll be available in the near future. And at that point, you can probably pause it whenever you can, and then follow the video, and then continue and pause it, and then follow the video, continue and pause it. But what I see that you have, it looks like you're heading to a good place there as far as your first layer of petals. And just remember, practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
And not all of your first one's going to look great.
When you kept asking us to fold again, I was like, not again.
Sorry. I know it's hard on the fingers, but I think it's rewarding afterwards. Once you get the perfection and you get the hang of rolling those petals over your fingers, you'll want to do more, and and they'll look beautiful.
Cool, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. It's just like Allison's watercolor class. The more you do origami, it's very meditative, very relaxing, and it helps with concentration. And Patty is always, when she was teaching me origami, I say I'm origami challenge, but she's so patient. The ugliest thing, she says, "Oh, that's beautiful." I said, "It is? Okay, I'll do another one," but she's so great teacher, so encouraging. And we hope to have all our virtual cultural enrichment on our website.
First of all, there's a comment, and it says that water lily piece is really nice. And then the question is, can you use foil origami paper for this specific piece?
I think foil origami, I think it'll give you a what you think would be a nice piece, but just remember that the foil is very easily, as you work more with it, it creases more to areas that you don't want creases. And so you can give it a try. They do make origami paper that has a foil backing, and that might be a little more forgiving. But as far as any regular foil, like Reynolds foil wrap, I probably wouldn't suggest it. I mean, you'll end up with a lot of wrinkles and a lot of fingernail marks, and but give it a try and see, and maybe, like as I say, the more you work with it, the more perfect it'll become.
And then regular printer or paper or copy paper does not work well for origami.
It doesn't, well, particularly for the water lily.
Although for practice,
yeah.
I didn't use good paper because I needed to practice. I didn't want to waste good paper, That's me though.
Don't use your good paper for your practice. Just whatever scrap paper that you have, pull out the ones in your recycle bin and practice with that. Practice with newspaper if you need to. You've got some newspaper, practice with newspaper, although it'll make your hands a little gray. So the next tutorial that we'll be doing is the origami Japanese piece crane. And so in 1999, Katz produced and performed a play called 1,000 Cranes by Kathy Schultz Miller and directed by John Dederick. The play is about Sadako Sasaki, who at age 2 survived the atom bomb bombing in Hiroshima, Japan, and at age 11 came down with leukemia as that result. Her friend Kenji visited her in the hospital and showed her how to make an origami Japanese crane. And he told Sadako that if you make 1,000 of these cranes, the gods will wish you good health. So Sadako tried to make 1,000 cranes, but she only reached 644 before she passed away. And her classmates went ahead and made the rest of those cranes. The crane is also a symbol of peace and hope and love. And sometimes it's difficult to imagine peace in these difficult times. But remember, peace comes within ourselves first, and then it's spread to others. So let's begin the tutorial. Now for the origami peace crane, you start out with a 6 by 6 inch paper. And make sure that it is perfectly square. So you want to find that center point. So you want to flip the paper over and fold corner and corner, edge to edge. Open it up, rotate, and again, same fold, corner to corner, edge to edge. So now you have your center point. Now the first step, we fold this way. You want to fold this folded edge to that center line here. Making sure that your folds are nice and crisp. Flip it over and do the same thing. Bring this folded edge to that center line there. Yes, holding down the rest with your fingers so that your paper doesn't shift. Okay, now you want to take this and open it up like this and do a squash fold like this, creasing as you go along. Okay. So you want your open edge towards you and the closed center point away from you. So now you want to fold this edge to this center crease here. Do the same with the opposite side. Holding down your paper so it doesn't shift on you. So now you have this. You want to flip it over and do the same thing. Repeat the process with this edge to that center line. Again. Creasing very well as you go along and holding the paper down. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to
fold this point to this line and stopping right here. Just keeping in mind that all of this are pre-folds for the next important step. Okay, and then you want to flip it over and do the same thing again. And basically what we're creating is what's called a crane base. Okay, now here comes the tricky part. You want to unfold what you just did. Flip it over. And fold. And fold. Okay. Keep in mind that you have your loose edges here. And your point up here. So you want to bring this flap up to right where that line is, right there. And you want to use your folded lines that you created earlier to help you with this step here. Okay, you want to repeat the same process, flipping it over. Take this flap up to the center line here. Fold your edges towards the center. There you go. Creasing very well as you go along and holding your paper down. Okay, so here you have your crane base. Okay, so now you want to take this edge here and fold it towards this center here. Now keep in mind that these will become the wings. And these two, one will become the beak and the other one will become the tail. So you want to take this folded edge here and bring it towards the center, but leave an opening. Creasing very well as you go along. Do the same on the other side. Close to the center, but not on the center. Leaving a little bit of a gap here. Crease very well. Okay. Now you want to flip it over and do the same thing, repeat. Bring your folded edge towards the center, and not all the way, leaving a small gap. And repeat with the other side here, the opposing side. So keep in mind you have your wings here, and you've got your tail and head here. So now we want to take this and invert it like this, fold it this way. Bring the head up, or what will be the head. flip it over, and fold the tail up, creasing very well as you go along. Okay, now again. Fold this way. So now you have your wings here. And let's bring the head or tail out and pinch. Flip it over. Grab the head or the tail out and pinch. And now you can decide which is the head and which is the tail. And I think I would use this as the head. Hold down and pinch and bring forward. Oops. And now you have your crane. Let's open the crane up. There you have it. Okay, now with this model here, there's so many different possibilities what you can do. You can also make a mobile. And it'll feel like this. With this model, we've used fishing wire and beads. And you can find beads at any of your favorite craft store. And you use a long sewing needle. And you start from the bottom and go up. You end with beads and you tie a knot up here. And also you can use different papers. We'll give you different effects. This is what this looks like using this paper here. And printed paper will give you this. So that concludes our project for the paper crane.
Actually, I do want to say something. When we did the show, Patty was in 1,000 Cranes and Gordon was in 1,000 Cranes. And the gal who played Sadako Sasaki, her mom went to Japan and brought cranes folded by the children of Nevada County. She bought, I don't know how many cranes, to the statue, to Hiroshima, presented the cranes to the mayor of Hiroshima, and they laid the cranes at the base of the statue of Sadako Sasaki. And that statue is a symbol of world peace, and especially peace for children. I thought that was very wonderful. And the children of Nevada County folded so many cranes that we had a huge waterfall of cranes and donated that to the Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital cancer wing, right? And they hung it there for many, many years. I don't think it's there right now because they had remodeled their hospital, but Can you imagine dusting those cranes? Oh God. But we had, the classes, the students in Nevada County was into folding cranes and donating them to the show. And we brought them to Hiroshima, Japan, and our local Sierra Nevada Memorial Hospital. We just love involving the community in that way.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Yes.
When you were folding, after you were doing a series of folds, and then there was one fold where you were not bringing it right to the line, but it was kind of just short of it. And I thought, oh no, Patty, isn't it supposed to be all the way to the edge? But when I saw, as you keep folding, it actually gives room and you don't squash the paper together too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you folded it all the way to the center, what it does is it create bulk. And when you create bulk, your crane is going to look a little stuffy. So by folding it just shortly before the center point, it does give it room for a nice fold. And just remember, the origami crane is a symbol of peace. So let's make a lot of them and pass them out.
Patty folded 500 origami cranes for the cat's Christmas card last year. I tried, but it didn't look as good as hers. She says, well, I'll just do 20 a night. And oh my God. Anyway, she's very patient.
I said no more and no less. And so I'm committed to the 20. Now I noticed that some of you are probably folding as the tutorial is being presented. Okay, let's take a look at your cranes. Looks like Kimmy and Ray.
I was able to.
Yay, that looks great.
I only got that far. And then Ray tried to save me and then she couldn't. And then she was going to lose her position. But she did a great job.
Look at Elaine. She did she did a little water lily and a crane. That looks great. How about the rest of you? Are you going, oh, look at you, Lenny. You're getting there. You're getting there. Yeah. Well, let's move on to the dollar bill bow tie. Now, my husband and I, when we were flying to visit all the baseball stadiums, Southwest has a magazine in their little compartment in the seat in front of you. And so I happened to be looking at the magazine and I came across a page that had the folding origami using dollars. And so the one that I was intrigued with was, and it was quite simple, is the bow tie made with a dollar bill. Now, the one that I am going to show you, I used, I don't know if you can see this. I used the $1. And, but depending on the bill that you use, because it's $1, if you look at it, George Washington is centered. But depending on the bill that you use, some of them are not centered. So, but although the currency markers will always be on the corner anyways. And so here's 100. I didn't know I had this. So see, he's a little bit off centered a little bit, but it's still doable if you want to give it as a gift. And I usually like to give my folded bow tie dollar bills to restaurant workers when I go visit the restaurant, and it puts a smile on their face. There is just the restaurant workers, I would not want to have that job because it's so demanding and you're trying to please people. And I try to please people, but it doesn't always seem to help. So I always, give them a dollar bill or 2 or 10 or whatever you want. Anyway, so let's start the tutorial for the dollar bill.
For the next project, the final project, we're doing a folded paper bill, folded dollar bill. And this is what it looks like. You want to make sure that all of your borders are even. Again, you want to find your center point here and here by folding this. So you bring this edge and corner up to this edge and corner. Creasing very well as you go along. Unfold. Bring this edge and corner up to the edge and corners. Folding very well. Now you want to take this folded edge and line it up with this center line here. Holding your paper so it doesn't shift. Bring it up like this. Creasing very well. Again, you want to take this folded edge and bring it here. Again, creasing as you go along. Unfold, flip it over. Again, do the same thing, because what you're doing is you're preparing this fold for the next fold. So we're pre-folding here, and again, here. And I know a lot of people say folding a dollar bill is defacing, but it isn't, because you're not cutting into it. Okay, now you want to unfold. And the next step is what they call a tuck fold or a valley fold. So you want to take your bill, turn it around, take what you just folded, and tuck fold it, increase it. Okay, do the same thing again with this side here. Taking this, tuck fold in, and fold. Again, creasing very well as you go along. Okay, our next step is you take this edge here, fold it down as far as it'll go, because it'll stop you right at this edge here. Again, crease very well. Flip it over and do the same thing. And matching up, at this point, you're corner to corner. And crease very well. Now, keep in mind where your center fold is right here. You've got your loose edge towards you. You've got your folded edge up here. You want to take this folded edge here and bring it down to the center here. Being careful to match the center line. Okay, now you do the same with this side here. Repeat the process. Making sure you fold the paper down and crease well. Okay. Flip it over and do the same thing. And repeat on the other side, the opposing side. creasing very, very well. Okay, so this is where the magic begins. You take the fingers, open it up, and pop it open like this. Making sure your creases are very well. At this point, you can either leave it like this, or you can fold the corners in. Again, with the other, all four corners. And there you have it. And this is a great little gift to a wait person at your favorite restaurant. And they would absolutely love you for that. Add it as a tip, make a bunch of these, give it away as gifts, but I use them to give to the my favorite waiter or waitress at my favorite restaurant.
So I love that tutorial. I remember, going to all the cats events, and Patty would always leave those at, any of the events at the tables, and she would teach all of the cats' kids like how to do this. So it was a great refresher. It brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah, just so that you know, the organization Cats, they've been around for, going on, 28 years now? I think.
A lot.
A lot, yeah, a lot. We've done a lot too. We've done 28 or 27 years, even though we've been together 28 years, we've done 27 productions. And we only do one production a year, and it's a major production, and we equate the production as the same as planning for a wedding. It's a big event. And so anyways, any questions? Were you able to follow along and make your dollar bill bow ties?
Oh,
Yay,
wow.
Lenny!
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. What did you do? Did you use a 10 for that? A 10, yes.
Whoa.
Oh, you're not stingy like me. I only used the 1.
Ray did hers.
Let me
Yeah.
see.
I
Oh,
tried and I
yay. Oh,
screwed up at the
yay. Oh,
end,
that
so it
looks good,
looks a
though.
little different.
Hey. Different
This
is
better.
okay. Yes, I like that one. And Allison did
nice.
one. Wow. Yeah.
And you did a great job, Patty. You really did. It was
Thank
good. It
you.
was very
Yeah.
clear, methodical. It's like, oh my gosh. It was
Well,
so good.
you're all going to be tested later on.
Uh-oh. So when you you can fold these and put them in a card, So yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
sweet.
you don't have to use a dollar bill like me, kind of stingy. Use whatever denomination you want.
Yeah, like 100. I'd love to receive $100 bill that way.
Gordon, did you mean to raise your hand?
Oh, yeah, actually I did.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
I wanted to add a little bit on to what sounded fairly dogmatic about copy paper or printer paper, because over the years in classroom, if you're trying to show kids origami, of course you wouldn't, well, I guess you could get a regular pack and have everyone use good stuff from the beginning. But if you're using leftover paper, scrap paper, there are two things that are crucial that make it a little more difficult when you're using just random 8.5 by 11 paper or any other size. One is you have to get, it's not always easy to get a square. So usually you take the short end and you line it up on the long side and you fold it and then you have to cut off so you get a square. And especially in a classroom, the kids didn't always get that edge square. So that's one problem. But the bigger problem when I put that in the chat earlier is that origami paper doesn't have a grain across, in either direction. Whereas if you have copy paper, one good way to test how good your paper is, in addition to being thicker, which is a really good point by Patty as well, it's thicker paper. But if you fold across and you fold down, usually you'll find that one crease is a little bit better than the other. And that's because there's grain on copy paper and there isn't a grain in origami paper. It's the same texture in either direction. Think of it, when David was doing his the stir-fried beef, he was pointing out that with beef, there's definitely a grain and you can cut across the grain. Well, the same thing is true for paper. So your folds in one direction are not going to be as clean as the ones in the other direction. Regardless of how well you do it, it's just not going to fold as well as origami paper does because they make it so that there isn't that kind of grain on it. However, when I was looking at Patty's pattern paper, it feels to me that you could take wrapping paper and make a square of that, and that might, one, it's going to be thinner than copy paper. Two, it'll have a little texture on it. I mean, a picture, but also I think it probably folds both directions better than copy paper. That's going to be the main difficulty if you're using regular bond paper, is that creases in one direction just aren't as good. You can see the little ridges in the paper when you're trying to fold it in the other direction. So as long as you don't mind that, it's going to get in the way of your folding, and that comes from having used whatever paper was around for students for practice. But yeah, if you can manage to use regular paper, then that'd be great. And locally, David had the graphic up. Was it Ben Franklin, Foothill Mercantile, Bonanza, and Mountain Pastimes have origami paper in one sort or another. And then in San Francisco, there's a mecca. In fact, I'm pretty sure they have some online videos as well. Paper Tree in San Francisco has an enormous selection of paper and books about cool things. So.
Okay.
We're thinking possibly there might be another set of tutorials for next year, but we'll see. Cooking and
This is
origami
great,
and
Patty.
painting.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Patty. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Great
I hope
job,
you weren't
Patty.
too bored. Thanks.
No, no, no.
Hey,
Not at all.
No,
Very
that's
cool.
that's good.
it's good to
Very
see my Bay
interesting.
Area relatives too.
Okay, so everyone, thank you for attending. It's great seeing you, meeting you, and stay tuned on our website at catsweb.org, and we'll let you know what's happening. Okay, so have a great evening.